It's palpable. I hope you guys are excited as I am. But certainly a combination of a year's worth of work to add these 8 guys to the 14 that we signed in December. And certainly, feel it's important to express our thanks to the people who made this thing happen. Mike Villagran and our recruiting staff, working tirelessly to identify, our prospects, organize all the recruit weekends, set up our travel on the road. Those guys have done an unbelievable job. Our assistant coaches who have worked on getting to know these guys, cultivating relationships with the families and the coaches, sometimes over two or 3 years for this class, and certainly the high school coaches in the great state of Mississippi and in the surrounding areas for allowing us to recruit their student athletes, and lastly and most importantly, the families and the players for their belief in us and our vision and our culture and the things that we have to offer at Mississippi State academically and athletically. Certainly very grateful to them. Looking at this class singularly for who we added today, and then kind of in its totality, very excited with the 22 guys, 11 from Mississippi, 3 from Alabama, 2 from both Florida and Tennessee, and then 1 from Georgia, Louisiana, New Jersey, and North Carolina. Pretty good balance, 11 on offense, 10 on defense, and then 1 specialist. And when you look through, there's always a delicate balance in roster management and recruiting, of making sure you're addressing positional needs while at the same time recruiting the best available players regardless of position. And I think we did a good job along those lines. When you look at it, we'll talk specifically about the guys we added today, but also mention the guys in the first class. Starting at quarterback, Garrett Schrader, 4-star consensus top 300 player, could have gone to just play about anywhere in the country, a mid-year enrollee. He's doing a real nice job for us right now. Excited to see him in the spring. Running back position, we were planning to add 2, and we did with the departure of Aries and D. Lee. Added a junior college prospect today. Kareem Walker, I've known him since his days in New Jersey. Kind of took the path from there to Ann Arbor to Kansas and now here. I believe he was the number 2 or 3 ranked running back in the country when he came out of high school. Certainly has done a good job there, and excited to see a more mature and seasoned version of him to come here and provide veteran experience. And certainly, if you all read the SB Nation article yesterday on Lee Witherspoon, I think that's something that we're going to have to continue to do at Mississippi State as we're striving to achieve our goals and become a championship team. That we may not always get the 5-star prospects, but we're going to find guys who are a little bit under the radar. And for a guy to average 19.2 yards a carry and score almost 60 touchdowns in his first year as a tailback, I think we're all going to be excited about the things that Lee brings to the table. At the receiver position, today we added Javonta Payton from Northwest Community College in Mississippi, number 2 JUCO prospect in the country, coming out at his position. I think he can play the Z. I think he's going to come in and have an opportunity to compete right away. And I think he brings a unique skill set of speed, size, and athleticism. Adding to that, in-state prospect Keziah Pruitt did a great job in the Miss-Al game. Was banged up with injuries a little bit early on in the year, but finished very strong. And certainly Q Torber from down in Louisiana, competed for the state championship down there. They got real close to it, but really improved as the season went on. Excuse me, didn't add any tight ends at the offensive line position today. Excuse me. Added 1 offensive lineman today, Brandon Cunningham from out of St. Martin's, a great in-state product who could probably play tackle or guard for us. And on top of that, Charles Cross, the number 2 ranked player in the state, 5-star early enrollee. Nick Penley, whose recruiting has heated up at the tail end of that as much as anyone in the country. LaQuinston Sharp, local JUCO product. Brevin Jones from Alabama. Who I'm missing, guys? Did I miss one there? Offensive line wise. Did I hit on 5?
Yeah.
Good there. Okay, defensive line. Obviously today's big addition was Nathan Pickering out of seminary. 4-star top 10 prospect in the state. Could have gone just about anywhere. Long time committed. Excited we were able to keep him on board. So certainly very excited about the things that Nathan brings to the table. Didn't bring any linebackers in. Obviously, Jack Harris from out of Oak Grove, Kingani, who was enrolled. And then DeMonte Russell, another guy out of Provine in-state, who was a top 100 guy we're really excited about his future. And then at the defensive back position, where we were hit hard with graduation, I think we did a great job at, safeties there. Fred Peters already enrolled, expecting him to compete. J.P. Purvis, a guy who I think was one of the more underrated prospects in the country. Then adding Colin Duncan today, was a guy with great intelligence, great football IQ, a lot of ability. Had a lot of people chasing him down the tail end, so real excited to add him. And then the coordinator position, obviously Jarion Jones from in-state at Northwest Rankin. Martin Emerson, a huge get today, had to fend off, some in-state schools in Florida and a bunch of other people for him. A lot of length, a lot of size, a lot of athleticism there. Dylan Lawrence is a guy who we listed as a corner, but really not quite sure what he's going to play. Brings a lot of height, a lot of speed, a lot of athleticism. 6'4" frame. I think his best ball is ahead of him. And then the last guy in the class, Corliss Waitman, the punter, grad transfer from South Alabama, who Coach Jones, was with. And I think he's a guy that's going to come in with 1-year eligibility and, do a great job competing and give us an opportunity to upgrade at that position. So certainly very excited. Love the guys we brought in today. And great addition to the 14 that we signed early. And, depending on what, service you subscribe to or believe in, we're another top 25 class for us. And, certainly one for us to build on heading into the future with, our 2020s already having 6 kids committed in that class and, heading in the right direction there. So, any questions?
Get a mic to you. Start with Tyler.
You mentioned rankings just now. How much do you look at rankings when you're trying to assess your class, and what does that ranking mean to you?
I think it's a barometer. I think it's a piece of information. I don't necessarily think it makes you or breaks you by any means, but I do believe, the people that run those services put in an inordinate amount of time, to try to get it right and be accurate. Certainly if you're keeping score, I and we want to be the best, so that there's a competition aspect to it. So I don't think it's something where you look at and say, hey, we need to be ranked in this area, but certainly, there is a correlation between recruit ranking and success as much as you want to admit it or not admit it. So, for us to be in the top 25 now for the second straight year, with the number of 4- and 5-star guys that we added in addition to the under-the-radar prospects, I think it's a good piece of information. Those guys work hard, and, it's something, I think they do a good job with it.
Steve in the back.
Coach, numbers-wise, a little bit short of 25. Do you have some plans to get to 25, or are you right around your target number?
Yeah, I don't think necessarily to 25. We made a conscious decision as a staff that we were going to look to address our positional needs. We were going to look to take best available, but kind of with the, the way the recruiting's going now and the availability of players, down the road through the transfer portal, that, we felt would probably benefited us to maybe have a couple left if we're able to find a guy with experience down the road that can help us address one of our glaring positional needs.
Joel?
How much did the late departures of Coach Baker and Coach Huff and those guys, how much did that impact this class and what you ended up bringing in?
Yeah, I think we did our best to to minimize the effect it had on the class. And I don't think you completely kind of just stick your head in the sand and look the other way either. I mean, you're talking about guys who have built relationships with players that we had recruited, for well over a year's worth of time. So to say it didn't have an effect to me would be foolish. But I think having a plan and replacing them very quickly with incredibly competent and qualified people, certainly at the running back position, Terry's a guy I worked with at UConn, who's got playing and coaching experience in college and the NFL, and has coached a bunch of pros and done an unbelievable job recruiting. So I think that helped. And then certainly Michael Johnson has coordinated in the NFL and in college, has developed a bunch of pro guys, and then Deke being an in-state guy, coached Davian Clowney and so on. So certainly with whatever it was, a week and a half or 2 weeks left in recruiting, to lose guys that had been recruiting people at key positions, less than ideal, but I think our response to that and our readiness and having people available and bringing them in quickly helped minimize a little bit of the effect on the class.
Obviously, this is the second year of the early signing period. How do you kind of approach, not just this year, but moving forward, how do you approach the kids that were long-time commitments to you and don't sign in December? And How thin of a line is that to walk in the next 2 months?
That's a good question, and I think that's, something we're gonna have to continue to look at and address as a staff moving forward. And I think that's one of the benefits of the early signing period, that the guys that wanna be here, they're gonna sign and, be a part of the class, and the recruiting's over. And I think the thing that you need to kind of examine is the guys that are committed but don't sign, what is are they taking other visits to confirm their commitment to the school, or are they taking other visits to enjoy the experience, for lack of a better term? And that's always a delicate balance, and you're never really quite sure. So I don't know if there's a greater or a correct answer to it, but it's something that certainly merits more discussion by our staff moving forward. I don't know that you ever have the right answer, just because it's always such a fluid situation. No two recruiting. It's just no two kids' things are alike. So.
Right.
You mentioned no linebackers in this
Yeah.
class. Then next year, you might have as many as 4 seniors and 5 juniors at that position. Did you want a linebacker in this class? And as you look at the transfer market going forward, is that a position that you might prioritize?
Your sock game's strong, but
Always is.
But yeah, we certainly that was a position where we didn't lose anyone to graduation this year, so we didn't think there was an immediate need from a 1 year's perspective. There were a couple guys that we made a run at that we didn't get, and I think that goes back to the best available as opposed to positional need, if that makes sense. But certainly you always look at it at a 1 year need and 2 year need. So the 2020 class is one where I would highly anticipate us taking one or more linebackers at that position.